Up on TNT, the second game could well determine who finishes first in the West. As things stand, Golden State is a one-game lead in the tiebreaker over Denver. A Warriors win would put the champs up 2 in effectively 3 games because of the tiebreaker, with just 5 games left. A Nuggets win would put them into first by virtue of the second tiebreaker, which of course is the conference record. Viewers, you have all this memorized, so of course you already know this. So just a bit on the line tonight in Oakland. Here's head coach Steve Kerr.
It's a big game in terms of the number 1 seed and protecting our home court. And if we take care of our business and win tomorrow, we're obviously in great shape down the stretch with the last 10 days of the season, so that we can prepare for the playoffs the best way we can.
It's already been an expensive day for Golden State. The NBA fined Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant $35,000, $25,000, and $15,000 respectively for public statements and gestures directed at the officials during and after Friday's controversial loss in Minnesota. There were controversial calls in that game, to be certain, and maybe they had a beef, but I don't know. Is this pre-playoff agitation? Is this blowing off steam? Is this we can't wait to get to the postseason? What's going on with these guys?
Well, it's fascinating to me, actually. We talked about the tiebreaker situation and then turned to Steve Kerr. Steve and I were together in the Suns front office one year when we were in a playoff seeding conversation, and it was a 3-team tie. And we used to always say, the way you control your own destiny is just win. And the way the 3-team tie situation was going to play out, we actually were better off in that situation losing a game because the team we were going to play was in conference or out of conference or whatever it was. It's so convoluted you almost didn't know which way you wanted to play it. So at least they're in a situation where the winner takes all, which is nice.
I think the team is ready for the playoffs to begin. They've gone through an up and down season, a lot of question marks. They took in a big question mark who they weren't quite sure how it would all turn out, but DeMarcus Cousins, I would say they have to be very happy with what they got out of him this year. And now they're ready to take all the people that have doubted them and say, okay, look, we're the defending champs. Here we are. Come knock us off.
Well, and I think what's really interesting to your question, Matt, about whether or not are they just ready to get on with it? I think the thing that's really unique about this group, it's the first Warriors group that, while they were in this phase where they were bored and they really weren't locked in night after night, Steve wasn't really able to reach them for an extended period of time. They didn't reel off 12 straight where they were terribly dominant. It just wasn't something that happened. I think part of that's because they do miss some of what they had lost in David West defensively. The vertical spacing of JaVale McGee. Damian Jones was doing a great deal of that early on, and he got injured. So I think they really had some issues there, and DeMarcus Cousins added more of what they already had. He's a tremendous offensive player, but defensively may not have been the right fit. So this Bogut piece is as odd as it seems. Their margin for error is not such that this isn't a big acquisition. I think Andrew could be meaningful for them.
Yeah. As for Denver, well, the Warriors lead this season series 2-1, as I mentioned. Blowout wins in both the Golden State wins. But for Denver, there's all kinds of stuff on the line tonight. Not just the number 1 seed, but the chance of getting caught at number 2 if they drop this game. How important is this one for the Nuggets?
Let's be honest. If you're sitting there looking up and saying, okay, who would we rather wind up with? Isn't Denver kind of the one that everybody wants to pick on right now?
Denver and Portland, because of the Nurkic injury, are the 2 teams in the top 4 that everybody would love to take their chances with.
But Portland, I don't know, because of the backcourt and whether or not McCollum is back playing or not and how he plays. But Denver just seems to be vulnerable. I'm not sure that they have gotten everybody's trust yet, that they really are that good of a basketball team, even though they're only 1 game behind Golden State for first spot in the Western Conference. I still think there are people sitting there saying, if we wound up with them in the first round, we could beat them.
I think what's interesting about it, Coach, is I think that's basically because they haven't been there before. They're younger. They don't have playoff experience.
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting is Mike Malone's a really, really good basketball coach. And he has a very firm handle on exactly where this team is. He didn't seem terribly concerned when he started trying to sharpen the sword a little bit and start working on some things that maybe people would either try to take away in the playoffs or diversify their offensive package a little bit. They've done a great deal of self-scouting, and you can tell with the way the Nuggets have have played these last few games, I'm not sure they're as worried about 1 or 2 as they are being as good as they can be when they get there. And it's fascinating to see a team play it like that.
They may be paying the price for some of that tinkering as well. The offense has been really bad over the last 5 games, dead last in the league in terms of rating, and they've scored under 104 of 5 of those games.